They say some buildings remember every soul that has ever entered, and some never let them leave. The Cecil Hotel, downtown Los Angeles. An aging, 14-story structure, its faded red brick facade barely masking the rot inside. For decades, it's been a shadow magnet, drawing the desperate, the lost, and the damned. It was here in the winter of 2013 that 21-year-old Elisa Lam checked in and never checked out. She was just a student, Canadian, bright-eyed, the kind of person you'd describe as curious, maybe too curious. She was traveling alone, something her parents didn't love. But Elisa craved the adventure, the chance to see the United States before graduation. Her social media posts painted the trip as innocent, snapshots of bookstore visits, street art, coffee shops. But they stopped, suddenly. Right after she arrived at the Cecil. The night before her disappearance, the front desk clerk remembered seeing her come through the lobby. She looked agitated, talking to herself, or at least that's what it seemed, until he realized her eyes weren't looking at him, or at any person at all. They were following something else. Security footage from that night would later become infamous. The elevator scene. Elisa steps in wearing a red hoodie and black shorts. She presses several buttons, almost every floor. But the doors don't close. She keeps peering outside the elevator, stepping halfway out, then darting back in, like she's hiding from someone. Or something. Her hands twist in strange shapes as if she's communicating, not in panic, not in fear, almost like she's bargaining. And then she steps out of frame. The doors close. The elevator begins to move. Elisa Lam was never seen alive again. The next morning, guests began complaining to the front desk. The water was coming out black, and it tasted strange. The complaints kept coming. Brown, murky water dripping from bathroom taps, showers that smelled metallic. Some guests swore they saw tiny black flecks swirling in their cups. Others had already drunk from it. The hotel manager, an older woman who'd been at the Cecil for years, sent maintenance worker Santiago Lopez to investigate. Santiago had been everywhere in that building. The bowels of the boiler room, the forgotten hallways. But the rooftop, that was different. To get there, you needed a key to the security door, then another key for the staircase. And the water tanks themselves were massive, dark cylinders, each the size of a small car, standing in a silent row. The ladder was icy under his hands as he climbed. The smell hit him first, not the sharp tang of chlorine, but something sweet and wrong. The tank hatch was heavy. When he pried it open, the darkness inside seemed to move, and floating face up, hair fanning like ink in the black water, her red hoodie clinging to her like wet skin. Elisa Lam, the Al-Daud, arrived quickly, but the questions started even faster. How had she gotten there? The rooftop door had an alarm. No one heard it. The tanks were sealed with heavy lids, too heavy for her alone, and yet there she was. Naked now, clothes found drifting at the bottom of the tank. The coroner's report gave a sterile cause: accidental drowning. No signs of assault, no drugs. But to those who had seen that elevator video, and those who drank from the water she was found in, nothing about it felt accidental. Some said she was chased, some swore she was possessed, and some believed the Cecil had claimed another soul. Long before Elisa Lam checked into the Cecil Hotel, the building had already earned a reputation, not for luxury, not for charm, but for death. The Cecil opened in 1924, grand marble lobby, stained glass, a shining jewel in downtown Los Angeles. But the Great Depression came, and with it the neighborhood decayed. The once proud hotel became a cheap stop for transients, drifters, and predators. Between the 1930s and the 1960s, at least a dozen people jumped from its windows. Some left notes. Others simply stepped off, vanishing into the traffic below. One man slit his own throat in his room. A woman threw her newborn out a window before leaping herself. The walls had seen more tragedy than any churchyard. But the Cecil didn't just attract the desperate, it welcomed the monsters. In the mid-1980s, a man named Richard Ramirez, later known as the Night Stalker, lived on the 14th floor. He would return to the hotel after his killings, blood still on his clothes, and no one stopped him. A few years later, Austrian serial killer Jack Unterweger checked in, hunting victims in the same neighborhood. And then there were the whispers. Guests who claimed to hear footsteps pacing outside their doors. Voices murmuring their names at night, shadowed shapes standing at the end of the bed. That vanished when the lights came on. By the time Elisa Lam arrived in 2013, the Cecil was operating partly as a budget hotel called Stay on Main. New paint, new branding, but the bones of the building were still the same. Some believe the Cecil is cursed. Others say it's haunted by the souls of those who died within its walls. And there are those who think the building is something worse, not haunted but hungry. January 26, 2013. Elisa Lam checks into the Cecil Hotel. She's traveling alone, 21 years old, bright, curious, but also fragile. Her friends and family describe her as lively, but sometimes anxious. She had a history of bipolar disorder. Some days she was outgoing, other days withdrawn. She was supposed to call her parents every day. At first she did, then she stopped. Guests at the hotel reported strange encounters. A young woman knocking on their doors at odd hours, talking to herself in the hallway, getting into arguments with no one there. On the morning of January 31st, the day she was supposed to check out, she was seen browsing in a bookstore nearby. The owner remembered her as polite, buying books and souvenirs for her family. Nothing seemed wrong, but that was the last confirmed sighting. That night she didn't call home, she didn't check out. She simply vanished. For the next few days, the hotel carried on like normal. New guests checked in, old ones checked out. But some began complaining. The water pressure was low. The tap water was brown, and it tasted strange. Meanwhile, police began searching the hotel. They brought dogs. They searched her room. They searched every floor they could, but nothing. No sign of Elisa. No signs of a struggle, just gone. And then, on February 14th, the LAPD released a video from one of the hotel's security cameras. The camera inside the elevator. What it captured would shock the world. February 14th, 2013, 2 weeks after Elisa Lam vanished, the LAPD releases a 4-minute video. It's from a security camera inside the Cecil Hotel's elevator. At first, we see Elisa. She's wearing a red hoodie, black shorts, sandals. She steps inside the elevator. She looks like she's just walked in from a normal day, but then she presses multiple buttons. Not one, not two. Almost the entire row. The door doesn't close. She leans forward, peers quickly into the hallway, steps back inside, then hides pressed against the control panel, as if avoiding someone. Seconds later, she jumps forward, looks both ways in the hall, then steps back again. It's almost like she's playing a game, or running from something we can't see. Then her movements get strange. She steps out of the elevator, stands in the hallway, and begins making odd, jerking hand gestures. Her fingers twist in the air, like she's talking to something invisible. She moves her hands in slow circles, then wide, rigid arcs. Her arms bend at sharp angles, her posture unnatural, and then she's gone. She walks out of frame and the elevator doors finally close. The internet went wild. People dissected every second. Some said she was on drugs. Others thought she was in a manic state. But many believed she was running from something evil. Because here's the thing, hotel staff said, no one else was caught on the camera. No shadow, no figure, no one. If she was hiding, who or what was she hiding from? It's February 19, 2013. The search for Elisa Lam has been going on for weeks. Police dogs have swept the building. Flyers cover the streets of Los Angeles. But inside the Cecil Hotel, guests start complaining. They say the water coming out of their taps tastes strange, has a foul odor, looks almost black. Some say their showers are barely dripping. Others that their toilet tanks are filling with murky water. One British couple, staying on vacation, tells the front desk that their water pressure is dead. The maintenance crew is sent up to check. They climb the narrow stairs to the roof, a place that's supposed to be locked at all times. There stand 4 massive water tanks. The largest one is sealed shut. At least it's supposed to be. One of the workers notices the hatch is slightly open. He pushes it back and peers inside. Floating in the dark, stagnant water is the naked body of Elisa Lam. She's pale, bloated. Her black hair fans out around her like seaweed. There are no clothes in the tank. Her red hoodie, her shorts, her sandals, all missing. Police are called immediately. The guests are told nothing. But word spreads quickly. And now, the questions begin. How did she get up there? The only way to the roof was through a locked door with an alarm. The tanks are 10 feet tall, with no ladder. Even if she climbed it, the heavy steel lid would have been almost impossible for her to lift alone. And yet there she was. Autopsy results would only make things stranger. Elisa Lam's body is removed from the tank. The medical examiner's office begins a full autopsy. And then they release the official cause of death: accidental drowning. No signs of sexual assault, no physical trauma. No drugs in her system except for her prescribed medication for bipolar disorder. The police say Elisa must have had a psychotic episode, wandered to the roof, climbed the tank, and somehow fell in. Case closed. But the public, they're not buying it. First, if she was in a mental health crisis, how did she bypass all the security? The locked door to the roof had an alarm that would have triggered at the front desk. Second, the water tank was massive, almost impossible to climb without help. No fixed ladders, only side rungs too high to reach without equipment. And finally, the hatch. Once inside the tank, she could not have closed it on herself, and yet reports from the first responders say it was closed. The internet starts tearing the case apart. YouTubers slow the elevator video down, frame by frame. They claim to see a shadow in the hallway. Others say Elisa's arms bend in ways that don't look human. Some point out her hands in the video. They seem to twist unnaturally, her fingers clawed, as if she's fighting something invisible. And then another disturbing detail emerges. The floor of the Cecil Hotel where Elisa stayed. It was the very same floor where, decades earlier, serial killer Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, lived during his killing spree. And years before that, another notorious murderer, Jack Unterweger, also stayed there while killing women in Los Angeles. It's almost as if this building collects death. Online theories start spiraling. Was Elisa possessed? Did someone in the hotel staff lure her to the roof? Or was it something far older? Something that's always been in the Cecil, waiting. One of the stairs groaned like they'd been waiting for me. Each step heavier than the last. The flashlight's beam quivered in my hand as I reached the second floor. The air was colder here. Not drafty house. Cold, I mean hospital freezer cold. And that smell. It wasn't dust. It wasn't mold. It was sweet, rotting, like fruit left in the sun too long. I followed it down a narrow hall that shouldn't have existed. Every blueprint of this place said it ended at the bathroom. But the wall ahead had changed. The wallpaper, floral, faded, peeled in long strips, revealing old wood beneath. And there, right in the middle, was a door. Small, low enough that I had to crouch. It had no knob, just a rusted latch. I unclipped the latch. The hinges didn't creak. They moaned. And when the door opened, I realized this room wasn't on any floor plan because it wasn't really inside the house. It was narrow and stretched longer than it should have. The air was thick, hard to breathe. And the light from my flashlight didn't reach the far wall. My boot hit something. I looked down, a shoe, a child's shoe, pink, dirty, Emily's size, and next to it a police evidence tag, the kind you'd see in case photos. Except it was yellowed, cracked like it had been here for decades. I took another step, another shoe. Another tag, inside a wallet. IDs from different women, different states. All missing, all gone. And that's when the whisper started. Not behind me, not ahead. Everywhere. At first it was faint, like someone breathing through the walls. But then it grew, turning into voices, dozens of them, overlapping, saying my name. Come closer. Don't leave us. Oh, help me. I stumbled back. But the door was gone. The walls seemed closer. The air felt like water, thick, heavy, pushing against my chest. I spun the flashlight, and that's when I saw it. In the far corner, a shadow. But it wasn't cast by me. It was standing, tall, thin, its arms too long, and its head tilted in an unnatural way like it was studying me. And then it spoke. Not in one voice, in all the voices. Every missing woman, every child. They never left, and neither will you. I ran. Not toward the shadow. I didn't even look at it again. I just ran. The walls pressed in like a tunnel. The voices kept pace with me, screaming now, begging, some laughing. The flashlight's beam jumped across piles of things. A cracked phone case, a ripped jacket, scraps of newspaper articles, all about women who vanished. Some of them I remembered from the news, cases that were still unsolved. And my mind did something horrible. It connected the dots. This house wasn't just haunted. It was keeping them. Every missing person was here. Not alive. Not dead. Just here. I spotted light ahead, faint but real. It had to be the way out. I sprinted. My shoulder hit something. A shelf, sending boxes crashing. Something cold brushed my arm. I didn't look. The opening got closer, until I saw it wasn't a doorway. It was a mirror. And in it I wasn't running anymore. I was standing still, pale, eyes wide. And something was behind me in the reflection. A tall figure, black as oil, its face a blur. The reflection's lips moved, even though I wasn't speaking. It said one word, stay. The glass exploded. The mirror shattered outward, like something had stepped through. I felt fingers, cold, bony clamp around my wrist. I fought, kicked, screamed, and somehow I was in the hallway again. The real hallway, the one from the first floor. The door was ahead, wide open, the night sky waiting. I ran into the cold air, didn't stop until I was halfway down the road. I turned back once. The house was dark, silent, but in one window I saw her, Emily, smiling, waving, and next to her that tall, black figure. For 2 days I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that mirror, saw the reflection that wasn't me. I kept telling myself, I made it out, it's over. But that's the problem with lies. They only work until something proves you wrong. The first sign was the smell. That damp, rotting smell, like the house's walls, was in my apartment. Then came the noises. Faint tapping from inside my closet. A slow drag like something pulling itself closer. I pushed furniture against the door. Didn't matter. The third night I woke up to see Emily, standing in the corner of my bedroom. She wasn't smiling now. She looked hollow. Her lips moved without sound, but I knew what she was saying. Help me. I turned on the light, and she was gone. But in the mirror above my dresser, there was movement, not a reflection. Something inside the glass, pressing against it from the other side. I smashed it with a lamp. Glass scattered. But behind it there was no wall. There was darkness, and within it that tall, black figure. It didn't reach out. It didn't need to. It just leaned forward, close enough for me to see the blur where its face should be. And then I heard its voice, from inside my head. Stay. I blacked out. When I came to, it was morning. The mirror was gone. My closet was open, and inside it was a single scrap of newspaper. The headline read, "Idma SSN my name. Last seen 3 days ago." That's it. The house didn't just take Emily. It took me. And if you're hearing this, you might want to check your mirrors tonight.